Hi guys, welcome to the class of Introduction to Philosophy and Critical Thinking. And today our topic is how philosophy is done: truth, proposition, argument, and fallacies. Due to the length of this topic, I have divided this into two parts. And today's lecture covers the first part of the topic, in which we are going to discuss how does philosophy is done, then the difference between dialectic versus debate, and what is truth, its definition in philosophy, and its characteristics. So let's start discussing one by one. How philosophy is done is as we know, philosophy, the meaning of the philosophy is love for the knowledge, or for, so philosophy is aimed as establishing knowledge and understanding. It is as a kind of inquiry. So when we are doing philosophy, actually we are finding out about the knowledge and about the truth and what is going on around us, which we have discussed in our first lectures. Even where certain knowledge about a particular issue cannot be had, there are often interesting things to learn about why we cannot have certainty and what sort of less than certain reasons there are for or against holding a position on the issues. So during philosophy process, we might not find all the things, but at least we can find that what we are not finding, what is certain and what is uncertain. So it may be not giving us the ultimate answer to that, but it is telling us the other things. So rational inquiry may be interesting and fruitful even when we are denied straightforward answer to our initial questions. So we will go to the different path to find out the truth or the knowledge or the validated knowledge. Once we raise a philosophical issue, whether about the nature of the justice or about the nature of reality, we want to ask what can be said for or against the various possible answers to our questions. So as we know that in philosophy we raise a lot of questions and issues and we try to solve it. So we will find out that what things go in the favor of that thing which in that issue, and what is going against those issues. So here we engage in formulating the arguments. So basically when we are doing this about an issue against and for, so we are formulating arguments. Some arguments give us better reason or accepting their conclusion than others. Some arguments are we accept and some we don't, and some argument takes us to a result and some don't. So once we have formulated an argument, we want to evaluate the reasoning it offers. So after formulating the arguments, what we do, we evaluate each of the argument and see what they tell. If you want to know what philosophers do, this is the pretty good answer, that philosophers formulate and evaluate the arguments. So basic function or job or the thing of a philosopher is to formulate the argument for and against some issues and then argument. So how the philosophy is done. The next topic in the philosophy done is dialectic versus debate. So we always heard these two words. Debate we often heard, and we see that debates are going around us on the TV channels or things like that. So let's see what is the difference between dialectic and debate, so through which we will reach to a knowledge. For this reason we are discussing this. Once a philosophical position is considered, we want to ask what argument can be advanced in support of or against that issue. So when there is issue is there, then we try to formulate, like we have discussed before, arguments against and for. So that we then want to examine quality of the arguments. Like I already told you, we evaluate them and see it is a quality argument or not. So evaluating flawed argument, flawed mean defective, often points the way toward the argument, and the process of formulating, clarifying and evaluating argument continue. So if we have a flawed or defective argument, then we try to correct it and go to the right one. This method of question and answer is which we are repeatedly formulate, clarify and evaluate argument is known as the dialectic. So we dialogue, we put the questions, and we put and then we argument, and then do repeatedly refining it and to reach to the final arguments. So dialectic looks a lot like debate, but a big difference lies in the respective goals of the two activities. So next is debate. It looks like same, but it is not. The goal of a debate is to win by pursuing an audience that your position is right and your opponent is wrong. So in debate, we try to win in a case or in a debate. So we argue that we will win, and we are right and other person is not right. Whereas dialectic, on the other hand, is aimed at inquiry. The goal is to learn something new about the issue under discussion, where we are not trying to make someone right or wrong, we try to find more things about that issue. Unlike debate, in dialectic, your sharpest critics is your best friend. So in dialectic things, who is becoming your critic? It is your best friend, because it will argue with you and you have to answer that. That is, like I always tell that, a devil's advocate. So critical evaluation of your argument brings new evidence and reasoning to light, and when you talk more and more about in a critical way, do you bring more arguments and new evidence and reasoning into the issues. The person you disagree with on a philosophical issue is often the person you stand to learn the most from, and because when you are talking about different things, you learn more about. For this reason, I'm always saying in my class that if someone you argued, maybe your argument is not right, so when we are arguing about something or giving reason, we learn more about the things. So dialectic is sometimes referred to as a Socratic method, after the famous originator of this systematic style of inquiry. So Socrates has developed this method of dialectic. So as we know that philosophy is basically mainly concerned with the getting at the truth about the things, that what things are, about everything. So as the variety of rational inquiry, it is natural to think that science and the philosophy are mainly concerned with getting at the truth about the things. There are some interesting and some confused challenges to idea that philosophy and science are truth oriented. So but no, let's assume that rational inquiry is truth oriented and addresses a couple of questions about truth. So there are two questions we have to address, that what is it for a claim to be true. So if someone is claiming, someone is saying something, so how we will say that it's claim, what is claim is true, and then how do we determine? So methodology of determining the claim is two different things, two steps we do. So it is important to keep these two questions separate. So in philosophy, the definition of truth is, in the metaphysics and the philosophy of language, the property of sentence, characteristics of sentence, assertion, what you are saying, beliefs, what beliefs you have, or thoughts or propositions that are said in ordinary discourse, in a common life, to agree with the facts or to state what it is in the case. So it should be agreeable with the what is happening around. So this is the definition of truth. So in the next few slides we will discuss what is truth in detail. So let's explain the definition of truth which we have read in the previous slides. So as we have said that truth in metaphysics and philosophy language is the property or the characteristics of the sentence, what we are saying in that sentence. Assertion, a forceful statement, what the statement that we are giving. Beliefs, what we are in believing that. The thought, what we are thinking. And the proposition is statement that expresses a judgment or a opinion. So these all things, what when we are saying a sentence, we are giving some statement, we are telling our belief, what we are thinking, and what is the judgment, the opinion about anything, is all in a ordinary discourse. Ordinary mean in a formal discussion of subject in speech or writing to agree with the facts or the state what it is in the case, what actually it is. So we are comparing all these things with what is actually happening, and if we think that this is the same, so it is truth. If it is not, then simply this is the way we will find out, and we do the experiment or we do the different methods to find out the real things about these assertions, about beliefs, about thought, about propositions, everything. So let's define the truth in a simple way. Truth is the property of being in accord, same with the fact or the reality. So truth means, like I already explained to you, what we are saying, if it is same as what are the facts or reality, so it is truth. In everyday language, truth is typically ascribed to the things that aims to represent reality or otherwise correspond to it. So it is represent reality, or it is close to or align with the reality, such as belief, proposition, and declarative sentences. Declarative sentences mean anything we give the opinion or the statement. Truth is usually held to be opposite of falsity. So explain it, to make it clear, actually the truth is opposite to the fallacy. Fallacy means which is not truth or lie. So keep discussing about the truth. The questions about how we know whether something is true or epistemic. Epistemic mean questions mean it is related to knowledge or the degree of its validation. So if you are saying something to me, if I have knowledge, I can say is it true or it is not true. I can validate it or I can not validate it. So it's basically, it depends on the what kind of knowledge we have. So we can say if it's true or if it's not true. But the question of what it is for something to be true is not an epistemic issue. So the truth of the claim is quite independent of how or whether we know it will be true. If you are not sure about this, consider the claim that there is a intelligent life on other planet and the claim that there is no intelligent life on the other planet. So we assume we don't know which of these two claims are true, but surely one of them is. Whichever of these claims is true, it is being true does not depend in any way on whether or how we know it is true or not true. So it is not only depend on our knowledge. Maybe we don't know that on the other planet there is a life or is not. So one of that will be right, even though we don't have the knowledge. So this truth is not just related to what the knowledge we have. So if we don't have knowledge, then we cannot say is it true or not. It's not true. There are many truths that will never be known or believed by anyone, and appreciating this is enough to see that truth of a claim is not relative to belief, knowledge, proof, or any other epistemic notion. So this is a discussion that some people say the truth is depending on the knowledge, but sometimes we don't have the knowledge. So we cannot say this is truth or this is not truth. For example, you are telling me something, and if I know that, I can say yes or no, or I can validate or invalidate. But if I don't know about for sure, that we cannot do that. For this reason, we keep asking questions and we keep doing the philosophical discussion or research to find out the exact and with the time, with the knowledge, with the technology, we can find the truths. Continue our discussion about truth, but then what is it for a claim to be true? So how we can say that this claim is true or this claim is not true, that anything you said is right or anything you said is not right? The ordinary everyday notion of truth would have it that a claim is true if the word is in the way the claim say it is. So if we see if people are saying, if this word is saying that this is right, so we will say right. So this is our evidence of the truth, and this is pretty much all we are after. When we make a claim, we represent some part of the word as being a certain way. So what is around us, we say that. For example, if it is, we are saying it is night, so we see around and we say it's a darkness around us, so we say it is night. So it is our statements correspond with the word, with the surrounding of us. If how my claim represent the word fits with the way word is, then my claim is true. Like I give you the example that, for example, I'm intelligent, so I can show you my grades, so it will validate my truth. So truth then is correspondence or good fit between what we assert, what we are saying, and the way the things are. So this is the, for this reason I highlighted the truth then is correspond, meaning related to a good fit, or is getting the good fit between what we assert and what what the things are. So is truth is related to the meaning, what you have said or write in the sentence. That is our next potential source of confusion about truth that might be worth addressing at this point. So confusion is due to same word sentences can be used in lots of different ways. So you can say one truth in different way, but what you want to say will be the truth. So there's a lot of vagueness and ambiguity built into the natural language. So your natural language maybe not could not be explained as you wanted to. So there are a lot of confusion and ambiguity, vagueness in that. So a tempting pitfall is in thinking is about truth is to think that truth is somehow relative to the meaning or the open to interpretation. So we cannot interpret the sentence and the meaning of the things. Basically it is what you are saying, what is meant by what you wanted to say is called truth or non-truth. So, and since relatively an issue is here is entirely linguistic, it is simply the result of the meaning of the words and sentence being relative to linguistic convention. So sometimes you use special terms to explain something, like in some subject we have to use special terminology to explain the things. But our everyday notion of truth is not about linguistic convention, so any more than if it is about knowledge or belief. So in a common language, in a common life, we don't see this there shouldn't be linguistic convention, because in law maybe for this reason when we are writing contract we will write in the specific terminology we used, or when we are talking about any business deal or anything else, or we are writing some medical report, then we will use these conventions or specific terms. But in common life we will use what we are meant by that. So our notion of truth is fundamentally about the corresponding between what is meant by a sentence and the way the word is. So we will see that what we are saying is correspond with the what is happening actually, so that is truth. So philosophers often refer what it is meant or expressed by sentence as a proposition, which we are going to discuss in the definition of proposition in the next lecture. After a complex and very detailed discussion about truth, let's see that what are the characteristics of the truth are. So number one is absolute. When something is absolute, it means that it is not dependent upon anything else. We can better understand absolute if we understand its opposite, that is relative. So something that is relative has a necessary dependence on something else. So absolute means this truth or this statement is not depending if or but. So this is the things. Correspondence, truth is absolute, so it corresponds to reality, the way things really are. Because truth exists, reality is what corresponds to truth. We understand this when it comes to the true and false statements, like we have already discussed. So our truth, our statements, what we are saying should correspond what is in reality is. Then coherence is internal cohesion and consistency. Truth cannot contradict itself internally or externally. So it is very important, if we are saying something and it is true, it shouldn't contradict. And usually when the things are contradict, these are not truth. Then the next characteristic is universal. The truth is universal in that it applies equally to everything or every person with a specific set of parameters. So in a special conditions, this should apply all over the world with everyone, with all the situation. It's called universality. So correct, the truth should be universal. So then exclusiveness, while the universal aspect of truth described is broad nature, the exclusive aspect of truth described is narrow and specific character. So it should be very precise, it shouldn't be vague. So it should be good all over the world, but it should also be good that in a specific situation, or will be very specified. So if there is anything, if it's not any specially specified, become vague, mean it has maybe some confusion. So the last one is objective. So the word objective mean in the realm of experience but independent of a person's thought or perceptions. Truth is not depending of any person's desires, beliefs or the emotions. So the truth should be independent of personal feelings or personal perceptions or thought. It should be something neutral. So these are the few of the characteristics of the truth, and we have discussed how the philosophy is done, and then what is the truth. In the next part we will going to discuss the what is proposition, argument and fallacies, so we can understand that how philosophy is actually done. So if you have any question, please let me know. Thank you for your time and listening.